Yeah.
Is this from now on?
So it is, no, that's just because we're off day.
Remember last week?
Yeah. It's 7:08 PM and I'm gonna call the meeting to order. However, one of the things we need to take care of is our assistant chair, who typically takes notes, is not here, so can someone? Heidi,
Heidi?
hello.
Hey.
So I'm wondering if I can get one of my fellow members to volunteer to take minutes for tonight.
Sadly, not I, because my brain can only do one thing
Yeah,
at a time.
I told you that
Right.
before.
Yeah.
Right.
We're gonna have to massage his
He doesn't
brain.
like
Oh,
to do
okay,
this, so-
bet, perfect. Oh, no.
Hi,
okay,
Tracy.
Take my coat off first, thank you.
Hey, would you love?
Hello, Tracy.
What's going on, team?
Here's Heidi.
Oh, there's Heidi.
She's
Even better. I'm gonna lie and say I was on.
Hello, Heidi. We were just trying to replace you, but
Oh my gosh.
you're irreplaceable.
Frozen to the bone is where I am right now.
So, I'd like to welcome everyone to the first meeting of the Land Use Committee for 2025. We are meeting on the second Wednesday of the month as opposed to the first Wednesday, because the first Wednesday was New Year's Day. And, we decided to let everyone relax from their parties. I'm Wayne Benjamin. I chair land use for Committee Board 12. And before we get into the agenda, I'd like to have my fellow committee members introduce themselves. So starting at my left.
Hello. Hi, I'm Chris. I think one of the newest members from May of last year. Started on the committee
Yeah.
board. Great to be here.
Looks like you're in camera.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heidi. I'm the assistant chair of this committee, Heidi Guzman, and I'm glad to be here.
Hi, I'm Tracy McNeil. I'm on land use, what else? Bylaws, task force, as well as parks. Hope everyone's having a great evening.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm also on Parks and I was in the Parks and Recreation. I'm on Parks. I'm an artist. Happy New Year's.
I'm Vivian Ducat. I'm a public member of land use, and I've been so for over 15 years. And I live in Washington Heights.
Great. Let me try to adjust the camera. So we're all there, kind of. So we have two presentations on the agenda, and we were just discussing item number one, which is a presentation by DDC on the Washington Heights Healthcare Center. And I was just sharing with my fellow committee members that this building is the building on the corner of 168th Street and Broadway. And a few years ago, the community board was going to pass a resolution asking the MTA to do something about its scaffolding. And then I think in an exec committee meeting, we clarified that the MTA had nothing to do with the scaffolding. The scaffolding was there because of a pending, probably local law 11 project for the building. Once that was clarified, folks started to talk about getting after either Columbia Medical or New York Presbyterian to advance, that project. And we clarified once again that the building is not owned by the University Hospital, it's owned by the city of New York. So we have looked forward to getting an update on the status of, moving forward with that building envelope project. And at tonight's meeting, we have representatives from the Department of Design and Construction, which is the DDC to which I referred, as well as the architectural team. So with that, Anna Killian from DDC, why don't I turn the floor over to you? you can introduce your team and move forward, and let me know if you're able to, or whomever's presenting, if you're able to share your screen and advance the presentation. If you can't, I will try to adjust it on my side.
Yes, thank you so much. Hello, thank you, Community Board 12, for allowing us to present tonight. My name is Anna Killian. I am the Outreach Coordinator for the New York City Department of Design and Construction, Office of Communication, Outreach, and Notification, also known as OCON. Tonight, we present to the Community Board the Washington Heights Health Center envelope renovation project. It's located at 600 West 168th Street in Manhattan. I have with me tonight Anthony Johnson, Principal Architect of Anthony Johnson Architects, along with Janki Patel, who's the Senior Architect and Design of Anthony Johnson Architects, along with GDC Samira Mohammed, who is the Junior Project Manager for GDC on this job, and Joanna Young, Senior Project Manager of GDC. Anthony, please share your screen and start the presentation.
Okay. Just give me 1 second here. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
I can.
Okay, great. So it's a pleasure to be here this evening. So we've been working on the exterior renovation for this building, the Washington Heights Health Center, over the past year. The scope of work, it's an exterior renovation almost exclusively. The building was built in 1937, and over the years it's been renovated, but it's has a lot of failing components at the moment, so that's what we're working on. Obviously, the brick and the masonry work has had issues over the years, and that's why the sidewalk bridging has been up. But the renovation should take care of all of that, and the building can be put back into full use. So the scope of work, it's almost all exterior. There's a little bit of site work. There's some concrete slabs in the courtyard to the south. We'll be replacing the sidewalk totally. We'll be doing facade repairs, replacing deteriorated bricks, repointing the masonry. We'll have to rebuild some of the parapets, and we'll, in the process, clean the entire facade. Part of this will also be all new roofing. We'll be putting in insulation to bring it up to code, all new waterproofing, flashing, raising all the dunnage and all the sills up on the roof to accommodate the increased elevation from the new insulation. We'll be replacing all of the windows. They'll all be, it's a mix of windows there now. They'll all be modern energy code compliant, ADA accessible windows. And for the HVAC, there's a lot of equipment up on the roof. Some of it is abandoned, some of it is obsolete. So we'll be replacing whatever we can and just throwing away basically all of the old abandoned equipment. We'll be internalizing as much of that as possible. There are currently a lot of duct work and equipment that's visible. We'll try to bring that all inside. So it's a little less unsightly, and we'll be replacing all of the exterior light fixtures. So here's the site. It's on Broadway and 168th Street. It's surrounded by the New York Presbyterian Columbia University Health Center or hospital.
Respectfully, just to orient it, is it the northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest?
It is the southwest corner of 168th and Broadway,
Awesome.
Yes.
right by the subway, where all the scaffolding is.
Here we have if this helps. And it's hard to get a good picture with the scaffolding of the whole building, but so the first image on the left is from across the street on Broadway, looking sort of northwest. So you're looking at the Broadway facade here. And then this is the south, which is not on a street. It faces the Columbia Presbyterian. And then on the right, this is the north facade. This is the front of the building. And then the side of the building facing, again, the ambulance center. And you can see there are a lot of air conditioning units through the windows. Unfortunately, they will remain, although we can put them in a more regular orientation, so it's a little more ordered. Here we have we got these shots from a drone, so we got frontal shots, but again, you can't get the full building because of the scaffolding below. But you can see up on the top, there's a lot of green organic material growing. There are a lot of waterproofing issues. The windows, most of the windows leak, so they'll all be replaced. And then this is the west elevation on the right, and on the left, it's the south elevation. And here you can see there's a lot of the ductwork is exposed that will all be coming off around the corner. It's a little bit difficult to see. Maybe you see it better on the right image. There's more ductwork and mechanical equipment coming down the side of the building that will all be removed. Up to the upper left, there's a chiller which is obsolete, which will be replaced. There's a air handling unit on the on the west side that will be removed and discarded, that hasn't been used in a while. And then this whole enclosure here will be replaced with something much smaller and less visible. So at the end of the day, it'll be a much cleaner looking building. And this is just a site plan showing our building right here on the corner. There is the subway entrance right here on Broadway, and then the Columbia Presbyterian building wrapping around it. So the sidewalk will all be new. It'll all be ADA compliant. There are a lot of broken flags that'll be repaired and replaced. A new curb. It will have an ADA compliant crossing at the corner. There also will be a new ADA compliant ramp leading up to the front door. There's currently a ramp, but it doesn't meet the ADA standards. So we'll replace that with one that does. Also will be replaced. There once was a tree here on 168th Street. So we'll be replacing that as well. And here's a drawing showing the full front of the building, just because it's the only way we can show you the whole thing at once. These are all the windows will be a new configuration. There'll be casement windows. The existing windows are, well, I'm sorry, let me do the door first. So these are the bronze front doors, beautiful old doors. They have cast bronze transoms above. Unfortunately, they're deteriorating. They're rotting out. The bottom posts are rotted out, and they're about to fall apart. So they also do not meet ADA. They're too skinny. So we'll be replacing them with new doors, also bronze. They will look almost the same. We made them slightly wider so that they meet ADA width. We're able to salvage the cast bronze transoms and be able to reinstall those. So that's nice. That's one of the nice decorative features of the building. So this will all be new. We'll have power operated doors, and they'll be the proper width. So that will all be ADA compliant. And here's the existing ramp, which will come out, and the new one will be basically in the same location. It will just be longer. And then here's a selection of the windows that are there on the site. Most of the windows are what you see on the right. It's a funny configuration, and it was done, I think, so that they could put window units through them, but they're very difficult to operate. They leak a lot, and they're due to be replaced. All of the windows on the first floor have metal grills on them, so all of those will be replaced and, or not replaced, they'll be removed and not replaced. And then on the far left, some of the windows scattered throughout the building are old and again, rusted and deteriorated. These are not modern windows, they leak and are not insulated glazing. So on the right, this is the configuration that we're showing. So it'll be a pair of casement windows with a fixed transom above. The fixed transom allows us to put the air conditioning units through the assembly in a consistent manner and up above, out of people's way. And down below, there'll be a pair of casement windows, which is similar to what was originally in 1937 was installed. And this was from the original drawing. It's not really a casement window. They don't make this kind of window anymore, but it looks similar. It sort of opens like a bow of a ship. It sort of folds out. It's kind of interesting, but we thought that the casement is as close to that as we could find. And it's not in the exact configuration, but on the upper left, here's a picture of the manufacturer that we're looking at, and this is a casement window. It'll be ADA compliant. It'll have a crank at the bottom, which is very easy to operate. So all the windows will be operable. They'll all have shades on the inside. And then for the glazing, in response to local law 15, I believe, all the glass will be bird friendly. So we're showing a UV bird friendly glazing. It's got a subtle stripe to it, which is hard for humans to see, but birds can see it apparently, and it protects them from flying into the glass. And then the rest of the glass, most of the glass, aside from that, will be clear. There are some exam rooms and bathrooms that have windows that will get an obscure glass. It'll just be slightly frosted for privacy. There'll be new signage on the corner. There will be a banner sign on the corner of Broadway and 168th Street. And then next to the entrance, there will be a pylon sign with all of the different departments that are in the building. They'll all be represented there. There'll be a lot of brick repair and stone repair. So on the far left, we'll be cleaning the whole building. So this is not our building, but it's very similar. And the area in the red has been cleaned. And the rest of it you can see is much darker. But the brick is not consistent. There's a number of different types of brick all mixed together. And the image to the right inside the red, that's another different building, but similar brick. And we were able to do a pretty good job of matching. You can see there's a blend of lighter and darker bricks. So we're very happy with that. And then there's Deer Island granite and Indiana limestone, which are readily available and will be used to match any broken stones or any repairs. The windows will be dark bronze, anodized. The front doors will be real bronze. And then there's some miscellaneous railings down at grade, which will be painted black, which is what they are now. And then there'll be some stainless steel railings up on the roof. As for the schedule, so here we are today presenting with you. We're scheduled to present our preliminary presentation with the PDC at the end of the month. And at that time, we should be done with the design. And then the construction documents and bid packaging will go through the spring of 2025, a month for legal review. And then bid and procurement is scheduled to go through winter of 2026. And then construction, it's about 2 years, taking you through to winter of 2028. I guess I should also say that the building will be inhabited or occupied during the construction. So there'll have to be careful phasing and coordination with the building's tenants. No doubt there'll be some disruption, but most of the work is on the exterior, and the building should be able to continue to function during construction.
Thank you, Anthony. We can open the floor for questions now.
I have an initial question. The information that I got by email had the PDC presentation in February. And because the general meeting for CB12 is January 28th, which is 4 days after, obviously, the January 24th. So I guess the question is, do you have the ability to meet with PDC in February as opposed to January 24th?
Absolutely. We'll meet when they're available.
And I mention that because I understand that you're looking for a resolution from the community board supporting the project. And although we are meeting today, it does not become the official position of the board until it is passed by the complete board. And although we do have, in cases of, scheduled emergency, the ability to take it to the executive committee, if in fact we stuck with the original schedule, which had the project going to PDC in February, then we can just take it to the general meeting and just proceed as we normally would.
I defer to the DDC, but we'll cooperate, however.
Yes, of course. Thank you. And I may have said February, and I apologize. I sent out quite a few emails on the same day. I might have mixed it up, but we are going in January, and it's always better to go when we're scheduled so that we don't delay the job any longer, because there's a process and a lot of steps that happen behind the scene. I understand that the board might not be ready by then, but we could still offer a letter to BDC letting them know that we presented and we're scheduled to present to the full board.
Well, no, I mean, that's not the way the process, you're presenting to us now. You would not present again. It's that the resolution adopted by this committee would need to be, adopted by the board for it to be official. As I mentioned, we do have the ability to take our resolution to the executive committee, which will meet before the 24th. That would still need to be, affirmed by the board, but I don't think there's any issue. It's just that, the schedule information we originally had, the reason we were, dealing with this now is because it was our understanding that you had to present to PDC in February. I have a question from Jim.
Well, I have 3 comments. One of them is the board parliamentarian. The executive committee has the ability to actually approve things on behalf of the board at their meeting. It then needs to be ratified thereafter, but it will be in a rational world. So you will have, an actual resolution by the time you need it in January, because you're gonna. And secondly, as you can tell, I've had some history in this neighborhood, and way back when I was in the higher ranks of the Boy Scouts, there's actually an auditorium, or was an auditorium in the basement of the building, and it was used for certain meetings. So, I remember the building from way back when. And my third comment is I was extremely pleased with what I heard and the care that's being put into the work on the building and to restore it. I mean, it was never a magnificent building, a rather practical New Deal building, but, it's a historic building. The other thing, which I saw in one of the slides, which there was no comment on, there's that beautiful decorative sign or whatever. Presumably that will remain and be restored because it's magnificently historic. But so I'm just have these very positive comments, and thank you for the work you've done. Ideally, probably this should have been done 10 years ago, or whenever they first put up but that's beside the point. Here we are, and we finally have a plan, and I thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's not a landmark building, but it is a very fine building. The architect was well-known and did a lot of good work with Columbia University and a lot of other schools. So it's a pleasure to work on it. Thank you.
Excellent.
Osi?
Yeah, I do have two questions, and you may touch that in your presentation. I came in late. The windows, those will be aluminum windows or PVC?
They'll be aluminum.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're not going for, I don't know, bronze or silver LEED certification or anything like that?
They'll be anodized bronze, so it'll be a sort of a dark bronze color, but they're aluminum.
Yeah, I don't care about the color. I was like, PVC is more,
Is
energy
PVC
efficient, but,
legal in New York City for buildings like this?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Why wouldn't it be?
Fire, when they burn, they let off toxic gases. But anyway, that's a different
It's a
conversation.
whole other thing, and I
Yeah.
don't think that the new one are, but in any event, in terms of the heating system, what are you running how are you heating the building? I mean, currently it's running on,
We're not really doing anything with the heating system. It currently, there's a steam tunnel from the adjacent complex that feeds this building. So there's a steam room in the basement, and then there's radiators around the perimeter. So we're not doing anything with that. We are improving the exhaust system, a lot of it from the TB clinic, as well as the general air return in the building. But we're not doing the heating. The chiller, we're replacing the chiller on the roof. We're actually replacing it temporarily, and then there is another project, I believe, coming after us where they will replace the chiller. We're not involved with that, though.
and currently you run the heating system by what? Natural gas or number 2 oil?
I don't know. The
That's
building
not
just
part of
gets,
our scope tonight, I'm sorry. That's not part of the design change, that's not part of the work that they're doing. That might be a question that I could take back to the team and find the answer for you later on after tonight's meeting.
That would be great. Thank you.
We're also joined by Steve Simon, who chairs the Health and Environment Committee for CB12, which I think has also been quite interested in the status of this project. Steve, anything you want to ask or have clarified?
No, I mean, unfortunately, I missed the presentation. I just arrived a few minutes ago. So I'll have to take a look at it and I can always.
Yeah, I mean, it's
contact them.
in large part exterior
Right.
building restoration project. All of the windows are being replaced. There is brick and stone repair. There's a new roof. The existing ramp, while it is a ramp, it is not ADA compliant, so it's going to be replaced with an ADA compliant ramp. The wonderful bronze doors, which are falling apart, are also not ADA compliant. So the doors will be replaced with new bronze doors that are ADA compliant, but the original bronze transom will be restored and retained. And some mechanical systems will be upgraded, but it's for the most part a building envelope restoration project.
Is this a design build project by any chance?
Is this a design build project?
Yeah, we have DDC, the senior PM. Can you answer the question?
Hi, I am Sammy. I'm the junior PM, and this will not be a design build project. It'll be just design bid build.
They'll be put up to bid like a normal project.
Yes.
You could go to the schedule and show them the schedule, Anthony, please.
We're at least 2 years away from construction.
Well, the schedule is is here, so it has construction beginning in, looks like January 2026.
That's tentative, of course.
Right.
It's-
But it's not this year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at, going to the Public Design Commission in January, completing design, the construction and bid packaging to be completed the spring of 25, legal review in spring, bid document procurement, through winter of 2026, and then construction beginning in winter 2026 and concluding in winter 2028.
We're really, we're going to PDC next month, so we're.
No, we're going to PDC actually the 24th of this month.
Oh, really?
Yes, that was something that was news, but
Are we gonna be able to accommodate that?
we'll have to take our resolution to the executive committee, which is meeting on the 21st.
Or be close?
I have one last question.
I had another question.
Okay.
I'm just curious, what is the R rating for the windows?
Go back to the window slide, Anthony, please. And he could go over that slide with you.
Yeah, so I don't have the R value. They exceed the New York City Energy Code. They're double pane glass. The frames are thermally broken. They're very tight. They do not leak. They latch closed. There are no drafts at all. It's a very energy efficient window. I can get you the actual R value.
Thank you.
I can email that to you as well. You could go to the next slide and share about the new design for the bird protection as well.
Yeah.
Just really quick, I
You
thought this.
saw that already.
Jim, you had a,
Yeah. It is, I'm gonna get back to the windows because the windows are in fact part of your project. And Asi, as you're aware, and I think we're all in the same boat, we're obviously interested in saving energy and the environment and all that other good stuff. And it sounds like you're already, which is of course is what you ought to be doing, getting the windows with the highest R rating possible. And there are two other aspects I want to mention to you, and then I will have a question also. One aspect is that, and this is probably inherent in the windows you're buying, if the side of the window, the pane that goes up and down, is solid aluminum, then heat is transmitted through the aluminum from inside to outside or back and forth. And that's a very bad design because aluminum, number one, the aluminum is thick and aluminum conducts heat very well. There's another design where there's actually a plastic barrier in between the inside and the outside, which acts
neoprene.
but it's actually within the thing of the window, and that prevents the heat. So that's something
Yeah,
you should
that's the
specify.
thermally broken. That's what they
Right,
mean by
thermally broken. Very good.
That's exactly what we're using, yes.
But I have another story for you.
Okay.
It turns out, because we replaced 7,000 building windows where I live, you should see how bright my apartment is with all these windows. But anyway, it turns out with double pane windows, if you make the two panes of the appropriate different thicknesses,
It increases the
each
acoustical
pane,
value.
right, it increases the acoustical value enormously because they have different natural frequencies because of the thickness. So that's another thing you should specify because you want to keep the interior environment as quiet as possible anyway. And it basically doesn't even cost any more money. It's just, and it's just a simple calculation as to the thickness of you. So if you're not already doing that, I commend that to you.
So
Then I have my question, of course.
So what is your question?
No, he's going to say something first.
Yeah, so on the left, the bird-friendly glazing that we're using is UV. It's called UV bird-friendly. And the way they make that is they laminate two pieces of glass together. So it's actually, the whole assembly is more than just double pane glazing. The outer glass is laminated, so there's a thin laminate between them. So it does provide better insulating value and also better acoustics. I'll get you the numbers, but it is.
No, I see. Because normally it's done by an air gap and there's a big space, but this just makes perfect sense. Now comes the question. You use the word dunnage. What does that mean?
Okay. Let me go to the roof
It's
plan.
the metal structure that supports the equipment on the roof.
Yeah, there's a steel frame that sort of floats above the roofing membrane, and that holds all the large equipment. So we have to we're taking the equipment off. We're putting 6 inches of insulation all over the roof. And then we have to raise the dunnage up higher so that you have clearance underneath it to work on the pipes and have access to the equipment. And so we'll raise it and then put the equipment back down on top of it.
Can you go back
So is
to
the-
slide, is it 5?
Yeah, because I still don't understand. Is the dunnage that frame
It,
or is the dunnage the stuff on the roof or something else?
yeah, it's not a,
The dunnage holds the equipment. I'm trying to hear if you can see it a little bit. There's this big box,
Right,
which is the equipment, and underneath it, there are some steel beams.
yeah,
yeah,
And-
that's the
and-
dunnage.
there's the
So
dunnage.
that's the dunnage, yeah.
Thank you so much, because when we looked it up, it talks about baggage on an airplane or something.
No.
Thank you so much.
How long have you folks been on land use?
Remember, but
you're talking to the
I
general.
was grandfather.
No, we're talking to the committee.
we're general.
No. Do we have, other questions, comments?
Yeah, I just looked through the presentation. The distinctive sign right now, the sort of curved marquee type sign.
We talked
over the
about
front
that.
entrance. It looks like it's being removed.
At the front door?
Yeah, that sign, yeah.
No, the
And then
signage,
the district health center sign.
The
The
thing on top.
canopy sign.
Yeah.
that's remaining. That's remaining. It'll be refinished, but it'll stay.
Oh, okay. The
We're also,
presentation-
we're also,
It's gonna be flattened out or something.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
He said the presentation makes it seem that it's going to be some altered or flattened out. So you're
No.
saying it's going to be clean, but it's
Yes.
going to remain as is.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
very good. Okay,
They're
very good.
beautiful.
And then either side of the door, on the right side, you can see there was a decorative sconce light fixture that's lost its glass. So we'll be relamping these and putting new glass in, new curved glass, and basically restoring it to what it was originally, with the exception of it will have LED light fixtures, not old incandescent fixtures.
Okay, let me, if you forgive me, let me point out a typo.
No.
In the proposed pylon sign, seniors helping seniors. The H in helping, should be a capital H.
Okay, so we're not gonna do that.
Yes,
Not
okay,
the real sign, I don't think.
Yeah,
we'll catch that.
right. So do we have any other questions or comments from the committee? Or anyone else? If not,
Did they mention, what is the R value of the new roof?
did you mention what is the R value of the new roof?
I did not. We will get you that. It'll be code compliant. We're adding 6 inches of rigid insulation to the roof.
My assumption is if the R value of the windows will meet or exceed the New York City NG code, the R value of the roof will do the same,
Yes, absolutely.
and we will get that information.
Yes, we'll get you that.
Jim?
I move we produce a resolution in support of this project. And then do all the things we need to do to get the executive committee to approve it.
Second?
So there's a motion on the floor to approve the DDC Washington project for the Washington Heights Healthcare Center building envelope project. It was second by Daniel Bonilla. And the way we will vote is, first, I will ask for members of the committee for their vote. then other members of the community board who are present. And at the committee meeting level, unlike at the general meeting level, members of the public can also vote. So I know there are some participants on chat. They too, if they would like to, can vote for this. So when I call, if you're interested in voting, you'll raise your hand. So
Elaine,
yes,
I would like to request that there be be a resolve clause that calls upon DVC to proceed towards construction as quickly as possible. That we would like to see the end result of this project, considering the long-term the long-term scaffolding that's been present. We are anxious to see it removed.
yeah, we're gonna expedite, yes, thank
And
you.
we'd like to see the project completed as quickly as possible.
So committee members in favor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Opposed or abstaining? Members of the board who are present in favor? Opposed or abstaining? Okay, now moving to members of the public. So the folks who are online, and you do not have to vote, but if you would like to vote, if you're in favor, please, raise your hand digitally. I see none. Any opposed? I see none. Any abstaining? I see none. Okay, so we have our resolution. It will be presented to the executive committee at its January 21st meeting for approval, and we'll have to let them know it's important to get. And to whom should this resolution be sent? Should it be sent to you, Anna?
Yes, you could send it. You could send it to me. It's fine. And
Okay.
again, if you think of any questions after tonight, sometimes I do that. I go to a meeting. I'm like, oh, I should have asked this or that. Feel free to email me. I will share it with the team and I'll get it back, the answers as soon as I possibly can. And thank you. everybody.
We greatly appreciate that. And as I said, and I think Steve and Jim also pointed out, the community board have been looking forward to seeing work on this building advance and the scaffolding come down. And I think I would also echo the comments that although the building is not, designated, we appreciate the care with which the design approach is proceeding.
Thank you again.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night. So the next item on the agenda is an update, and this is not a comprehensive update. This is an update from our colleagues at the city Department of City Planning on the Inwood rezoning points of agreement. I say it's not comprehensive because if you look at the agreement from 2018, and I circulated it once again earlier today, it's a 39-page document, I believe. There are commitments that run across various city agencies and, for that matter, various committees of the Board of Jurisdiction. So city planning is giving us some updates. I think Catherine and I have a phone call or Zoom meeting with folks from EDC tomorrow afternoon to work with them to schedule an update. As you go through that, there are commitments pertaining to housing and to open space and transportation. So this is something that periodically we need to stay focused on to ensure we understand what the commitments are. Do you want to see a copy?
Yes, thank you.
And to find out where they are. So with that, Audrey and Jose from the Department of City Planning, Happy New Year. And take it away.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. I wanted to give a quick update on the Inwood Points of Agreement update. since the last meeting and when the board requested the update on the inward points of agreement, we have been coordinating with.
A second, where the sound is a little muffled.
Sure.
Let me see. I think we're all the way up.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Much better.
Audrey, let's try again. If no, I can take it.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. It's like wherever you are, it sounds a little muffled. It could be your device.
Yeah, this is, well, I'm at the office, so let's see. Can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yes, that's a bit
Okay,
better.
So since the last meeting, when the board requested the update on the inward points of agreement, we have been in close coordination with City Hall and with EDC. After a lot of discussion, EDC and City Hall and us agreed that it would be best for them to present on updates to the points of agreement. Specifically, we can't speak to some of the financial points and a lot of the project timelines because that is out of DCP's wheelhouse. And so, as Wayne, as you mentioned, I believe you're meeting with representatives from EDC. They are in turn in touch with City Hall, and we didn't want to come to you today with, without substantial information. And so we think it's best if those talks are had with EDC and then they come back and present comprehensively so they can give you the full picture. Jose, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, and just to clarify, others said it well, but just to clarify how rezonings potentially work or neighborhood plans work, there is always a lead agency. And in this case, the lead agency for the 2018 rezoning was EDC.
EDC, yes.
Correct. So, all of the, as you can see in the tracker, and you have the commitments in front of you, have a agency specifically assigned for that role. But there was a lead agency for the other, I believe, 6 other rezonings that were part of the de Blasio. DCP was the lead on those. And that's why, a lot of that requests for information come to us. And that's when we track that information because it's our essentially responsibility to do that. And as you noted in your previous email, you had, I believe, a 2019 Inwood report back from EDC when they put together all that information. It seems, and I think it's to fall to none, that since then there kind of has been some staff changes. They haven't had a person assigned to Inwood in some time, or on Upper Manhattan in general in some time, and kind of like it has been lost. So we put some pressure into City Hall and EDC to ensure that they can come back to you. But as Audrey has said, it is not, we can't speak on behalf of other city agencies, kind of like a status on the projects. We know City Hall has some of the information, and I know they're coordinating with EDC to see how much of those they can present on EDC or if City Hall is going to come back. But, rest assured, we had been doing our work as we promised as liaisons of the board to ensure that we can provide that information, even, if it's something that is going to be assigned to us to do in the future, but it needs to be a mandated request from City Hall in order to put that into, Audrey's portfolio and my portfolio in the future. But we can't just jump and start gathering that data from, as any other request. So it's not that we haven't been, we don't have an update for you guys, but we had tried to meet with them. And as you know, we got this request, I believe, in November, and we follow up truly on that. And have been some, unfortunately, through vacations and so on, not an opportunity for us to get into the same page. But I think the meeting with EDC is tomorrow. And for the board, as I offered Wayne to have a call with you, to talk, I think it's very important for the board to request that there is a point that the board can request the information going forward, if it's a yearly, bi-monthly, because there hasn't been a person. And I believe in the call, there's also going to be a rep from City Hall. So it is important. We will follow up, truly with them to see how we're going to go above this. And our intergovernmental affairs office has also been made aware of this, because we are like, well, if it's not a person here, who's going to report back to the community? And, for example, going back with housing opportunity, right? So when you had comments or questions about those, you come to us because we were the one who shepherded that text amendment, and we, owe to the board to respond to those questions, and it's similar to the rezoning. But hopefully tomorrow, my hopes are that EDC can provide some updates on their commitments, and they don't have that many also. A lot of these commitments are HPDs, DEP, and it's going to be part of City Hall kind of like getting that information back and assigning an agency to report back. That's typically how this works. But at the moment, it's known DCP, as Audrey has said, that information, we don't have it. But if it's something that we could work, I think it needs to be assigned to us in order to be part of like our work scope going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. In the request that went out to you in, I think, November or so, I reached out to city planning because there have been consistent, parties representing city planning coming to CB12. The last update we had on the inward rezoning, while we had representatives of HPD and EDC, they're probably not with them anymore. They haven't been in touch. We have no idea to whom we should outreach. So the idea was to reach out to you, and for you, and I think even the emails could coordinate with those city agencies to bring them together to give us an update. So we understand that, that it was in fact odd that EDC was the lead in this rezoning, not city planning. But EDC has not been back, even though we have this points of agreement from 6 years ago, EDC has not been back to give us an update on that.
Yeah. And we totally understand, I think it pays to that commitments. We are regularly getting calls and asks from City Hall in terms of like, where is this status on this? And I believe they're reported quarterly. So City Hall, they say that they were having some data gathering process at the moment, and they will have some information coming on board. I believe that it wasn't yet on the website, but one of the asks that they kind of like the agency came back, or EDC and City Hall came back to us, is what is it specifically that the board want? And we keep emphasizing that it was a comprehensive update, that you guys wanted to kind of like maybe walk through the 39, or maybe walk through like the most important housing or so between the buckets. So tomorrow they're probably going to ask you, what is the CB12 need information on, what is specific commitments. And, our response was a comprehensive update similar to the 2019 report that they put together. But if you guys have specific ones, I think now that, you had this time, unfortunately, I hate to have misled you that we were going to provide an update, but I think maybe it's the time for you guys to kind of gather those particular questions that you might want to ask the EDC and City Hall tomorrow. It could be a good exercise, but we did say it's a comprehensive update that you guys were behind.
Yeah, I see. Jim and Tracy.
I actually disagree with our coming up with a list. We want another as you pointed out, you read our minds, in my opinion. We want a comprehensive report of everything they've done relative to this agreement they made.
And are doing,
and when, whatever it is, they haven't yet started doing, when they're gonna start. We wanna know everything. And insofar as they provided it, we're not gonna triage our demands for information.
Chris?
This is one of these situations where you can't ask intelligent questions if you don't have enough base knowledge, right? So, but one initial question is what exactly is distinctive or different between then and now, right? Like 6 years has gone by, right? They can start here, and I'm sure in the past 6 years, there are several differences. So if there is, or updates or so forth and so on. So I echo Jim, but if they're like, but what specifically, we can start here, and they can say is, let's list out everything that is different from then till now for each page.
Yeah. And that is totally fine. I think, we're trying to do better now. Like I say, our IGA team is involved in this. I also want to say, Inwood is one of the neighborhoods that had the most points of agreement. So all the other neighborhoods, and I think it was because it was pieced in between other type of, projects, kind of like maybe not big project, but in terms of like different pieces. So like it was kind of split in between very agencies. So you had the Inglewood 9th RFP that is under HPD house, but the part of the what is it? It's not a Proton Center, but it's a school something. It's in a EDC side. So kind of that one project was breaking down into 3 or 4 commitments. So you have an extensive list that has made it a little more complicated for all the agencies to see who is the lead role on reporting back. But for example, the RFP is on board. We know that because we're working with HPD. I think you guys also know a little bit of the projects that are coming back to the board here and there. But again, it hasn't been a report back, right? It hasn't been like, well, this is the impact of the rezoning. We have built, I don't know, like 10,000 units of housing. I don't know. Like, I think that is something totally fair to us when you go through a neighborhood rezoning or a neighborhood plan. And tomorrow,
And
an opportunity, yeah.
Yeah, the one of the reasons the points of agreement is probably so extensive, the resolution that we passed was a 12-page resolution. And we were encouraged by EDC not to just look at the rezoning. They pointed out that the city was poised to do some significant investments in a number of infrastructure and other projects, and we should comment on, what we wanted to see. So that resolution addressed not only points for the rezoning, but also what we wanted to see with regard to some of those city investments. And that's why the points of agreement cut across multiple agencies and multiple committees.
Yeah.
We were asked to do it, we did it.
I wasn't part of DCP at the time, when this commitment came on board, and I being fairly recently involved with the board since 2019, 2020, so yeah, I'm also looking for a comprehensive report back on this, because we keep getting little pieces on the waterfront. I'm still learning about the waterfront and the applicability on this, to be completely honest with you. But and so is Audrey, because Audrey is also new here, and we're getting answers and questions from urban design teams and the RFP. So we told EDC and City Hall to keep us in the loop, but to not plan in around our schedule, because it was more important for them to meet with you rather than trying to get something in the calendar. So if we don't hear from them, feel free to report back or shoot us another email. We were happy to put some more pressure on that as well.
Steve, was that a hand?
Jose, I think what I heard you say is that EDC is going to hopefully resume the idea of keeping track of all of the 87 commitments and hopefully posting them on their website, which was the original commitment. That it was supposed to be a website that we could look at and get updates from. So frankly, what I would like to see before we have a really a really thorough discussion of all the commitments, I'd like to first be able to get a report giving an update on all 87 commitments, rather than sitting for hours on end, having different agency people rattle off different things. I'd like to be, as Tracy says, the easiest way to ask questions is to have the information in front of you first. So I think the most productive discussion would result after EDC updates that tracker, or whoever is going to do it. If you're going to take it over, somebody should be doing that so that the information is easily accessible.
The tracker is online. That is the one that I just pasted online, and that is for all the rezonings. To be 100% sure with you, I don't know how. I think it's a quarterly update that they put on this, but I don't know how to check when was last updated. But Audrey, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they say that they had the data and they were in the process to uploading it on the website, correct?
Yes, I think that it sounded like, I can't speak for them, but it sounded like the data was in various silos. And I believe, they'll be able to speak to, what they have, but, we pointed out that, there's like 9 figures worth of of investment that were, promised or projected in the agreement, and that, we also, they, like the mayor's office and EDC, that's, they owe it to you and the board and the community to explain it. And we're also curious, so, so if there's any issues or, anything that you need to facilitate, after the initial conversation with, EDC, please loop us in, and happy to help in any way we can.
So what did we just learn about the updates?
Apparently, it was updated at some point in 2024. It doesn't give you the month, or it just says.
Well, it just says, the front page of the tracker, which is for all of New York, says 2024 updates coming soon.
Oh, coming soon.
Oh,
Yeah.
Never mind.
all right, yeah, I didn't think it's been updated in a while. So yeah, that's what we need. We need the updates.
Yeah, so I guess we need to know how frequently it's updated and, when will we get the most current update? But also from the conversation we had earlier, who is the point person or the point agency for updates to CB12?
Yeah.
Because, EDC was the lead, and arguably it should be EDC's role or responsibility to pull together the various agencies. But maybe EDC wants city planning to do that. I don't know.
And what are the distinctions between this previous report and now?
Well, what do you,
That's
but
not a report.
it's not a report. Those are the agreements. When you say what the distinctions, you want to know
Well, what I
what has
mean-
happened since then?
Yeah, that's the.
That's one way you can just make it.
No, I want to understand.
I
what the-
understand. That's why I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay,
So what I'm saying is that these are various points of agreement. There's certain dollar values, there's certain commitments that are supposed to be made. The question becomes for each and every one of them, one, is that money still allocated? Two, what has or has not been done on it? Three, who is the point person for each one? Four, what still needs to be done on it? Five, so that's what I'm saying. So I hear your summary, but your summary left out my initial
I
thing.
wasn't summarizing. I was asking what you intended. Like,
I know.
what's the difference?
And I know, and I was highlighting just to make sure that what I'm saying is, what are the parts of the original points of agreement that are still outstanding and or have changed?
That's what we want to know. Yes.
Yes, but with particularity.
That's why we asked for a comprehensive update.
Right, but, and I guess what I'm saying, and this is where you and I are distinctive in what we're saying, is when you ask for a comprehensive update, that is just sort of a general open-ended thing. It's not specific. What I'm asking for is particular specific. So you're saying one thing and I'm sort of narrowing down on what it is.
Yeah. And what you're saying is what I meant.
Okay,
When we say
so we're
comprehensive, we
team, same
want,
team.
we
Love
want
it.
comprehensive. We don't want,
But
No.
is this the information that's supposed to be provided on the tracker?
That's another great
that's a
question.
great question.
But if you open up the tracker, what level of detail does it give you?
Looking at that.
Jim?
For example, right now, we're on number 39, build a new state-of-the-art library in Inwood, status in progress, timeline ongoing, agency New York Public Library. There's a paragraph about the Eliza, which is currently under construction according to
So
the
that's-
paragraph.
It is.
But what I'm saying
It's
is
old.
that also doesn't correspond to this. So the 39 on there is not the 39 on here, so forth and so on.
So was that a hand also?
My
Jim?
hand was.
Well, yeah, I know, but if someone hadn't spoken yet, but since that was not a
I haven't
hand, go
spoken
ahead.
yet either, I don't think.
You did?
Anyway. The issue is the semantic meaning of the word comprehensive. Comprehensive doesn't mean, which it could mean, and in many instances, as you fear, would mean some vague overview. We don't want that. But comprehensive is sort of like the comprehensive Muller test I get, and every single damn, I didn't even know what these things are. We're talking about every single specific, we mean comprehensive in that sense. And I think that is what we agree on, yes.
I think we can move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll take care of the blood test. Anything else on, the inward rezoning points of agreement?
And the point, sorry, just to they're 87, so it's 1-to-1. The rezoning tracker has 87 points of agreement, and the points agreement has 87 commitments as well.
I guess the question is, should we be able to crosswalk, literally point for point? Should item 1 in the physical document be item 1 in the tracker, or are they organized differently?
No, they're the same. In the tracker of
should
the
be the
online
same.
is 1-to-1.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, so they're saying they should be, but what was just pointed out is item 39 in the physical document is not the same as item 39 in the tracker. So someone should look at the physical document and the tracker, and either say, no, you can't crosswalk, they're organized differently, or restructure the tracker so that you can go from number 5 to number 5, number 32 to number 32.
Yeah, Wayne, they're all different.
They're all different,
All the
apparently.
numbering is different than the
Well,
2018.
In that case, that's completely unacceptable.
Exactly.
Oh, that
And
I
in
see.
fact, it was either laziness or even worse, an attempt at obfuscation, which we simply will not tolerate. So that these things should match 1 for 1 in exactly the same order, and anything else is, like I said, unacceptable. And
Yep.
there's no excuse they can't do it, you know?
No, yeah, I apologize for that because I look at the first one and the last one and they match, so I assume everything else was matching. But yeah, if anything, at least as you see when you go to home in the tracker, they have buckets of housing. Hold on, let me just read it. Housing, open space, community resources, transportation, infrastructure, economic and workforce development. Within those buckets, those should be kind of similar, but the issue is I see the economic and workforce development has changed to a small business and workforce, and then you have economic development. So that might have been how they differentiate, because the idea for the tracker, I work on the reporter for the tracker and making the website back in SBS, was to have all the neighbors be the same. So when you were reporting back to City Hall, you could ideally just provide all of that data for all of the neighborhoods at once, so City Hall could disseminate the information. But yeah, I see what the error might have been in here. So you definitely need a person to be able, a point person to be able to provide those updates to you, so you don't have to be, tracking down every single detail of the points of agreement.
Daniel?
I have a question. What can we do? I don't know if it's like to speed up the process or to like make sure that the information is right. Like, what can we do? Cause like, I look at this, I'm just like, oh my God, like this is a organizing task that I can do or something like that.
But it's not our job.
Yeah.
It's not our job. And we have no information and no basis to update it.
I get that. It's like not our job, but in my head, I'm like, okay, with whatever time that I have, like, could I go into the EDC website tracker thing and like look for the agencies and just like list that out? Or can I like, what happened?
They'll redo anything you do anyway.
I think what we can do is point out
That they should do their job.
that, what we are looking for the tracker to do for us and have them do their job.
Right.
So we should, as we're discussing, point out what we need it to do and follow up with them to make sure they do that.
Yeah, and then that was the same.
Because like my thing is like I'm like one of those people that like I don't trust the city that much like to do their job that well, and sometimes like things do fall through the cracks, and I get that, and I guess it's just like me, like I'm not going like, oh, like everyone should do this and all that stuff, but I'm like wondering like what on top of like letting them know like, hey, like you guys like messed up right over here, like check this out. What can we do to at least like kind of like expedite it, so then like maybe like next month like they have like maybe 2/3 of this like actually like checked out for us.
Yeah,
In my experience as an employee of the city, although I'm speaking in my capacity as a private citizen, like the squeaky wheel gets the grease when it comes to this. Like the way that we hold them accountable is to be really annoying about it. If we were to take on something like this, there's no incentive for them to fix the process in the future, right? So the way that we help is by, DCP has been very helpful. We have this call tomorrow apparently, and to continue to be really assertive with following up with those people. That's just my 2 cents.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just to add quickly onto that point, and onto Daniel's point. In the chat, I dropped a spreadsheet from NYC Open Data. It was last big caveat. It was last updated almost 2 years ago. But I filtered for Inwood, and it has every agreement and then a status of where that agreement is. So again, not sure how updated or current this is, but it gives much more detail than the actual tracker. So I will share the link to the open data as well, but the spreadsheet is in the chat.
And if I could ask, because last month we had an issue with the information dropped into chat when I got the Zoom reports, none of that information was available.
No, it disappears at the end of the day.
Yeah, so if you
Okay.
could email me every link that you are dropping in chat, if you could also email that would be great. But looking at what it says in chat is like the New York City open data info. The major caveat is the data hasn't been updated since March 2023. And that's one of the things that we're concerned with is how frequently data is updated and when can we expect to get, current updates.
Thank you. So just to talk to Daniel's point, Daniel, you obviously can research whatever you want. And if you want to do this and bring the results to us, and let's say, for example, in your research, you find that there's some whole section that you fell off the table, by all means, we can do our own research. But it's not our job to do their job for them. And that was Heidi's point. From the official point of view, internally, we can do what we want and look things up. And people have done this all along. I believe you've already done that. But that's not the point here. Our point as a community board is we are owed this information, and that is what we expect, period.
And I think, I don't think EDC or any city agency is going to allow, whether it's community boards or public, to go into their systems and play with, organizing the data. That's just a recipe for.
No, but he can suck in whatever.
No.
Yeah,
I said, we can do whatever we want with data that's publicly available, but the idea is, can we go into their system and, straighten it out for them? That opens the door to all kinds of stuff. Was that a hand, Elsie?
Yes. Is there a deadline to address all those 87 points? That's a question to the city. And the reason for that is because if it's open-ended and there is no deadline, that could be, 1 point could be addressed a year, so it's 87 years, and in 87 years, we are not gonna see the benefit of what we decided 87 years before that. So my question is there a deadline to address all those wonderful things here?
That's a great question. I don't have the answer, but EDC and the mayor's office will be able to share that info. And if I come across anything, I will certainly keep the board updated.
Thank you. Just more thing on Daniel's point, because the open data stuff, you can download those Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So like Chris has it open right now. So definitely you can, if you want, go through this and look for the specific comments that have been made on specific projects or specific points. So that is something that we can do independently if you're good with Excel, if you're interested in what the trends, things like that. That's definitely an option.
I'll look into that. I don't know. To me, I'm just kind of one of those people I like seeing things get done, and it kind of sucks that we have to wait on the city at times, and then we're just here complaining about the whole thing. And I get it. Bureaucracy moves ever so fast in this world, but it is nice to also know that let's say if it was a thing that we just break it up into 7 pieces, and then seven of us looks in 7 pieces look, these things are met or these are not met, and then it comes back to you guys we're doing more work than you guys, you know? And like,
sorry, Danny, not to
Yeah.
cut you off, but that was the same point that the other night had when we said, if we need to do it because the data is City Hall gets the data, you need to let us know. Because, if we do it again, and that was EDC's role at the beginning, then we're doing somebody else's work. And I think, back to Wayne, it's like, okay, so if the city says, okay, we're going to send the raw data back to CB12 and CB12, Daniel, you're going to be the point person from now on to put that data together to the board. That's a different situation. But I think at the moment right now where we at is like tomorrow we need to, and I say we as the board, right, need to ask City Hall or EDC at the same time, like who is the person who's going to report back to us? Because when the commitments were made, there were a lot of beautiful conversations and a lot of engagement. And it's been, as you just pointed out, 6 years without an actual real update or a conversation about these agreements. And I'm more than happy to do that work as well. And Audrey was almost about to start compiling data, but we're like, whoa, like it doesn't, it's as work that I'm more than happy to do. We're more than happy to do, but again, it takes away from the responsibility of other city agency, and we can't do that. So I think pointing it out, saying like we can do this in our own, present the data better than the city, but it's also the role and responsibility to provide that data. So.
I hear you. No, I
Was
hear
that
you.
a hand, Steve?
Yeah, if I get a chance, yeah.
Okay, well,
All right, so
we're not gonna
I would
beat
like
that
to
point
know-
to death.
I would like it understood that, the community board never signed off on these 87 points. We were never asked to review them. We at one point did pass a resolution, made various suggestions. Maybe some of that ended up within this document. I'm not sure that most of it did, but it should be understood that we never necessarily signed off on every single one of these points. And it may very well be, as we go through those updates, that we don't necessarily support them or want to insist that they should be implemented. So that, we still reserve that right. And I think, we should keep that in mind. There may be a couple of things here, or a couple of things that I spot that I don't necessarily sign on to. So, I think when we go through this and we say we want to hold the city agencies accountable, there may in fact be a couple of places where it's okay that maybe something wasn't implemented yet, or that they decided it turned out not to be feasible. That's a possibility. And there is language here that is, I think loosened up in some cases where the city says it's going to look into things, and maybe they later realized what they were considering was not workable.
Yeah.
But our job, I think, in this case, is to get the updates, but it's not necessarily in each and every case to say that this is all must be done.
Chris, Ben?
Just a quick question for Audrey. I'm looking at the Excel rezoning tracker doc from Open Data. Did you say, do you know approximately how recently?
March of 2023.
March 23.
Yeah.
Jim?
So I think we're almost being this horse to death, as who should do what.
Animal cruelty.
Right. But the reality is, and again, by all means, we can gather our own data, but what's actually gonna cause projects to move and whatever is not the data we accumulated, the data the city officially is acting on. Now, again, there's nothing, and again, I encourage you to do this, because we may discover from, hidden somewhere that, that something we thought they were doing, they're not doing, or it's called by a different name or whatever. And I think Steve's point, in the real world is very important, because as he pointed out, we did not create this list. And in fact, there may be things on this list that the city is promising that we don't really want at all. And to encourage the city then to, maybe they want to build some structure that as a community, if we thought about it, we don't want them to do or whatever. So I think, unfortunately, we have to be almost a little bit cynical or dubious in how we function, because again, this list was imposed upon us.
Well, to be, clear, the points of agreement is between the mayor's office, the speaker of the city council at the time, and the city council person representing the area that was subject to the rezoning. It's not with the community board, and as we know, the things that we ask for in resolutions are not enforceable, but the things the council asks for are. So if we're going through this and we come across things that we don't agree with, it would behoove us to take it to our current city council rep and have them advocate to have it changed, because the agreement is not with us, as it clearly says here. This is addressed to, Corey Johnson and Udonis Rodriguez. And it's signed by the deputy mayor for housing and economic development. So we would want, in this case, Carmen De La Rosa, who is accessible to us, to address anything that we say should change.
Well, we can
Staff,
let-
I believe, is on this call.
What?
I believe our chief of staff is listening in on this meeting.
Right. But we have not yet come up with anything that we would specifically want to address.
Of course.
I thank you, Audrey and Jose, for joining us and updating us, and we will let city planning know what EDC and the mayor's office says about, who's on first, and take it from there. Is there any old business? Is there any new business?
Yeah, old business.
Wait a minute, you're not on the committee anymore.
Have we heard any follow-up on the resolution
We
concerning the cats receding site?
we have not heard any follow-up on any resolutions
Ever.
yet. Is there any new business? Is there a
Yeah.
motion to? This is delayed. What?
Okay,
I'm
so,
sorry, no,
yeah.
is there new business?
It's new, but it's not really new. I don't know. how
So then
to-
it's old business.
Okay, so it's not old, but I just want to say that,
Middle age.
there are
It's
some
middle-aged.
questions, whenever a developer come to us with, new structure like in the case of this, the Washington Heights, Healthcare Center. I think that we should have a list of questions that are basic. Like what kind of windows you're gonna install there or things like that they should come up with answers to that meeting and not us waiting now for them to answer back whenever they feel like answer, if at all. We should have some basic stuff which you should ask developer to come to us before they come to present anything. I don't think it's a bad idea because my question, you could probably guess what I was gonna ask because those are my basic question I ask every developer that shows up here. So why are we now waiting for, I don't know when, for them to come back to us with answers? I think we should have a list of questions, basic questions that they should come prepared to answer. That's all it is. And I may not like all the answers, but that's okay. I just want to know. And I think other people here want to know different things. So I think it's something we should do. That's my new business and I don't even know what it's.
And I think the extent to which folks would like to contribute to that list, they are free to do so, and we can compile that.
And Daniel will make it look beautiful.
And Daniel will make it look beautiful.
Yeah, if I can comment also, it's a good idea, but on the other hand, there's a level of specificity where it's sort of too detailed. So for example, we can insist and we can ask them, for example, sticking to the ecology and stuff. Do we need the exact construction and R rating of the windows and the roof and what it's composed of? Not necessarily. But what we need to know is that what they are producing will have, will meet the requirements, and insofar as they can exceed the requirements, they will do that. And then the other piece of it is whatever work they are doing should not make things worse. Now, I know you disagree with me. And my other point is, depending on the project, you may have a different sort of question. If they're building a swimming pool, you're not gonna ask them about the roof. There won't be no roof.
Sorry.
I wasn't talking about indoor swimming.
Just say,
Ragazzi, ragazzi.
Gesundheit, what does that
Behave.
mean? Oh, behave, no.
Yes,
I was
well,
gonna say, just to OC's point, I don't think it's a bad idea for us to have like, and also just to have, sorry, finish the sentence, Neil. I don't think it's a bad idea to have a general base set of questions that obviously if we're talking about a pool, we're not gonna ask about a roof or vice versa, or whatever the case may be. And we can maybe start to compile it, and it would actually speak to what we as a general board were sort of discussing about how do we pass institutional knowledge and collective knowledge of a committee as the committee grows over time. And that is like a very easy touchstone that this committee could have to sort of say is like, here's our base. We're not stuck to it, but it's a way that, like, let's say, for example, I'm just gonna look at, let's say Wayne and Jim aren't here and I have a head wound and I'm running this
you
meeting.
need to stop those headwinds.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, but it gives a framework, right? So
She tripped over the cat's seat.
but I like the idea. I think it's a great way to start and brainstorm, and let's just see where we get.
Which is why I said that, folks should, don't look to me to generate.
No,
like, I say folks should contribute. To contribute to that.
It's just,
I would say that it's a good idea because, and it would be really helpful to forward the questions, as OC says, to the developers in advance. And I think they would actually find it to be very helpful.
Yes.
That they could be able to anticipate what people are gonna be asking them.
To be fair, DDC reached out to the office in December. The office
Yes.
did not contact the chair of Housing and Human Services, the chair of Land Use, to figure out which committee was going to, until I think yesterday.
Yes.
So it's not as if, we couldn't have back then
Right.
reviewed the presentation, asked questions. The follow-up just wasn't there, but let's not get into that.
I have to answer Jim because I disagree with him.
But no, we don't, please.
But I wanted,
The,
I
the,
want my
the,
2
the,
minutes.
the purpose of this is not for each person to have,
I
their
understand that, but I want everyone to understand that when we ask those basic questions and they are not as good as we expect them to be, your building grade may be lower than mine, but I'm picking up your grade, I'm talking about local law 97, and you're lowering mine because you have aluminum windows, for example.
well, no,
That
but
is
see,
R30, for example.
we-
So my point
we
is,
need to be accurate with the information that we present as being the standard. Thermally broken aluminum windows can be very energy efficient, so the notion that it needs to be PVC, and I was checking to see if PVC is even legal there, but I mean, there's some things that I feel that we should know because we've dealt with them for years on end. But I think it's fine to ask the questions, but I think we also should have in our minds and to share with the committee and the public accurate information. And there are tons of buildings that are putting up, aluminum windows, and those aluminum windows, and we're doing, I think, 1,100 of them in my building, are infinitely more energy efficient than the ones we put in 30 years ago, because there have been great improvements in the technology of building the windows.
right,
And if we wanted someone to present that to us, we can have that done, but we should know that and not share inaccurate information.
I don't
Anything
disagree.
further on the?
Is there anything, is there a motion to adjourn?
No.
What are we talking about? What are we?
And after that, I will point out, I'm not opposed to this list, but we ultimately have to refine it.
It's
because, again,
8:35.
We don't want to be overly specific.
Steve wants to copy it.
right. But it's
Yeah,
also give the developer idea that we are asking serious questions here, so you can't come in and just tell a story without details.
I'm not objecting
Yeah.
to a list.
No, I know.
but